Hey there, I'm Barry Rapkin. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer of Identified Technologies, and it's my pleasure to talk to you today about how energy construction companies are benefiting using drone mapping. I know you're all busy and you have a lot of demands on your time, and I really appreciate you spending some time with me this morning. If you have questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to type them in at any time, and I'll either answer them as we go or address them in the final Q&A section at the end. So just to talk you through what we're going to be covering today. We're going to go over just drone basics that everyone should know, how drones are benefiting your specific industry, how energy construction companies are benefiting from drone mapping, audience Q&A, and then we have a special limited time offer just for live attendees. So in terms of the basics that everyone should know about drones, well, we've had RC planes and helicopters for decades. So why is there this sudden massive interest in drone technology that we see today? Well, RC planes and helicopters, if you ever played with them in the 70s or 80s, this was the common user experience. You'd have a little fun, you could use it for a few minutes, maybe if you're lucky a few hours, but they're flimsy, they're made of paper and cardboard. They're not reliable, they're not robust, and you can't do anything with them. So they're toys, but they're not tools. So what changed? Why is there this sudden, massive interest in drones that we see today? Well, it's really a combination of government and private sector innovation. You have flight controllers for NASA, GPS technology, originally pioneered by the US Navy, miniaturized sensors like accelerometers and gyroscopes, digital cameras that are miniaturized, high quality, and energy efficient, all combined with advances in model aircraft and battery life that really give the modern drone its powerful capabilities. We always get the question, okay, great, what's the right drone? And it really depends on your specific needs. If you are the military, maybe that's a $100 million Global Hawk drone from Northrop Grumman that'll fly for 28 hours straight and weighs 32,000 pounds. If you are a hobbyist and you just want to get a couple of photos, maybe a little bit of video, then DJI Phantom is great. DJI is an awesome brand, and that will do everything you want if you want to just get some light kind of hobbyist content. And then you have everything in between. So the right drone is all about exactly what you're trying to achieve and what applications you're going to be using it for. And we're seeing drones in all kinds of different industries, from real estate to get roof inspections and just show kind of sexy footage of houses from different angles, for sports, movies and TV commercials, things where normally you would have had to get in a helicopter, pay for the pilot, get everything out there, pay for jet fuel. And now you're able to just strap a sensor on the drone and capture those amazing views and perspectives. You're even seeing companies like Amazon starting to experiment with using drones for delivery. And now, even though the main focus today is on energy, I want to touch very, very briefly on how drones are benefiting different industrial sectors. So for mining, they're being used for things like aggregate stockpile tracking, for construction, big earth-moving projects, oil and gas. I'm going to skip that one because we're about to go very, very deep into that. Agriculture, to get overhead views to see what areas need more fertilizer or more water. And then they're being used for mapping and surveying for fast mapping data on engineering projects. And really the issue we're trying to address, and this goes across all the industries, but certainly to energy and construction, is every day project managers are asked to do the impossible. They go to war with a mountain of paperwork, and they have to communicate to their contractors, leadership, customers, while having perfect visibility to every change on every massive job site all simultaneously. And it's really an impossible job. No one can be three places at once, and sometimes something has to give. And I've been on some of these sites, maybe 1,000 acres, where you can't even see from one end to the other, and contractors, equipment, and building projects are all rapidly changing, and they're trying to manage it the same way today that they were 20 years ago, where construction is done off of rolled up paper blueprints. The managers walk the site with clipboards, taking notes and pictures. Stakeholders still have to physically visit the job site to check progress. And unfortunately, aerial overhead data is only rarely captured due to the traditionally large costs and delays. And that's why most projects run late or over budget. It is impossible, no matter how good you are, how experienced you are, how careful you are, it is impossible to make fast, informed decisions without consistent site visibility. And that leads to a few things. It leads to inefficiency, because expensive contractors and rental equipment often goes unused due to bottlenecks that could have been prevented. It leads to project delays when you're waiting for customers to get out to the site to approve portions of work and release funds for the next section. And if it's not delays on customers, it's delays on managers and team members that need to approve. It leads to low profits, because when projects go over budget, it comes directly out of the company's profits. And in some cases, it can lead to lost customers. If they were expecting a project to be done, if they were expecting oil to be flowing, and it isn't, they may be disappointed. They may not use you again, or they may stop mid-project. So why use drones? They give you that transparent job site visibility. The data is accurate. It's automatic. You literally push a button and the drone captures the data. So mapping at the push of a button is how we like to sum up what we do. You get the data in near real time. Usually, to survey a large job site would take potentially a month, maybe months. With us, with drone mapping, you can map a 100-acre job site in about 10 minutes. And it's completely secure. So a little bit about us. We're a fully managed drone solution. We improve job site transparency and profitability. We're trusted by industry leaders in energy, excavation, mining, and engineering. We'll talk more about that in some of our case studies. And they use us because outdated methods are slow, inaccurate, dangerous, and costly. We're world's only automatic EDAS solution that's end-to-end drone as a service. We take care of everything. And we're proudly headquartered in Pittsburgh, PA, at the heart of the Marcellus Shale region, and we serve clients around the world. So a couple of those clients are companies you've probably heard of: Seneca Resources, EQT in the energy space, as well as many others in like Mascaro Construction, PJ Dick, Kokosing, and Americoal Mining. And we've been featured by publications like Inc., TechCrunch, NBC, and most recently New York Times, Huffington Post, and so on. We also have a Better Business Bureau rating of an A+. We have $5 million general liability insurance coverage. We're ISNet World approved contractors, and I'm proud to say we're the fastest growing drone company on the East Coast. We don't just offer drones because you don't care about drones. We offer data and insights that help you do your job better and more efficiently. So it's not just pictures and video. We actually automate advanced mapping. So that's 3D volumetric analysis, contour mapping, orthomosaic overlays, and as-built versus as-planned blueprint overlays. You can monitor progress reports and cut and fill tracking, and securely share data and export in all major file formats. When you think about how we're different than past alternatives, like I said, you can get an aerial survey, you can do a manned survey team, but usually there's going to be significant costs associated with that and significant delays. To get an aerial survey on your job site, once they're there, it won't take long, but it may take a few weeks to book and then a few weeks to process the data. It's often 2 to 3 months before you actually get your data from the time you want it. And you're often paying 15 to 20 grand for that. For a manned survey team, it's only $1,000 a day, but again, you might be looking at 2 or 3 weeks to capture the data, and then another few weeks to process the data, all in easily 1 to 2 months. With us, there's a flat monthly fee. You use it as much as you want. If you want to capture data on the job site every month, every week, every day, no problem. That update is completely included at no additional charge. And instead of getting your data back a month late, and when at that point the job site's already changed and the data is no longer really accurate, With us, if you fly that morning, you'll have your data that night. One other option is to build your own drone solution in-house, which can make sense for some people. I just want you to know the different steps that you'll need to follow to do that. So you'll want to get FAA regulation in-house and make sure you're dotting all your I's and crossing all your T's. You'll need to either train or employ drone pilots and build out that program. You'll need to have the software, the hardware, the processing, data storage, and data management all in-house. You'll need to take on the risk and the insurance of the process. And if a drone does crash or it needs to be replaced, even if no one's injured or nothing like that, it can easily be $50,000 per crash just to replace the drone itself. So those are just some of the costs that you'll want to consider. And if you do it in-house, normally this is the process for drone mapping. So you're going to select a KML with a map perimeter. That basically just means you're choosing the area that you want to map. You're going to lay ground control points to make sure it's accurate. You'll create and upload your flight plan. You'll fly the drone, geotag the data, transfer the data to the processing equipment, process the data, store and manage the data, and at that point you can finally analyze it and collaborate with your team. We've tried to cut out every step possible on your side and just automate it to make it as streamlined and fast and easy as possible. So with us, you upload your flight plan, you push a button, the drone automatically takes itself off, flies the area in a lawnmower pattern, comes back, lands itself, you scan the data up to the cloud, it's processed automatically, and you can access and analyze your job site and securely share it with your stakeholders. There's no manual piloting. It's highly scalable and highly reliable. So thank you for being so patient with me. Let me finally get down to the content that you've been waiting for on how energy construction companies are benefiting from drone mapping. So from monitoring construction progress on new water impoundment ponds to pipeline weld verification, energy companies are discovering the many, many ways that mapping drones can be deployed for both upstream and midstream applications to increase revenues and profits. On any fast-moving job site, old data is incorrect data. And if it takes your current mapping team a month or 2 months to get your data, by the time that project has, by the time you're getting your data back, the project has progressed and the data no longer accurately reflects where the job is. It's obsolete by the time you receive it. This leads to cost overruns, unexpected delays, and historically, it was just a cost of doing business. There were no alternatives, but for the first time in history, there are. And I'm going to tell you about a couple of different cases where our customers use our boomerang mapping system, and they were able to capture the data, get it in minutes, not months, at a fraction of the cost, and how it helped them on their jobs. So Seneca Resources, part of the National Fuel Gas Company, is one of the largest mineral rights owners in Pennsylvania for the non-locals. They operate about 3,000 wells in the state's shale play. And they first used Identified Technologies' boomerang system back in 2015 to map an under-construction water impoundment pond. The pond stores water used in the hydraulic simulation process, and total data capture time was just 4 minutes on the project. Based on the success of that project, they then deployed a boomerang system in the construction of a 75-acre water management facility. And that project included stockpiling earth, and on one part of the site, while construction was underway in another part. So I'm going to kind of give you details and data on the whole thing. So this is some shots of the accuracy that they were able to get. They actually flew it with a traditional aerial survey, and then they had us fly it and do data capture. And the analysis of the stockpile volumetrics had a 99.8% accuracy match with drone mapping versus traditional methods. This was verified by Spatial Analytics, which was a third-party solution that they used just to not have any issues. And we have a full write-up of this, including Spatial Analytics report, and that's going to be in the chat, I actually included that. That'll take you, if you want to watch that later, right to our website, and you can watch that full recorded webinar and download the white paper and PDF. Josh McLaughlin is the GSP manager at Seneca Resources, and after we flew with him and he saw the quality of the data, he said cutting our data capture time down to just a few minutes while maintaining sub-centimeter mapping precision is a game changer. Seneca saw upstream and pipeline construction costs 30% below industry averages. So before I was just talking about how the project included not only impoundment ponds, but stockpiling earth on one portion of the site. So we were tracking contour maps, tree lines, chain contours, stockpiles, everything. And same deal, it was about a 100-acre site, flew it in 10 minutes, as opposed to the potentially hundreds of man-hours it would have taken normally. And these were the results. The first shows what they capture on a traditional survey. The second is what they capture with a drone mapping survey. You can see the dramatically increased level of detail and precision. There's actually 3.4 times more data and smoother data using the drone mapping. And this allows them to confirm construction progress and subcontractor change requests much, much faster, which allowed for a faster completion date. And it's a high-stakes game, as any of you know that do energy work, because the rig is going to arrive on the scheduled day as planned. And if the company is behind on construction, it's still paying for the rig, which can easily cost 35 grand for every day it's on the pad, just sitting there going unused. And until they start up, they're not getting any return on their investment until they begin. So you really, really want to know how much work you have today, not how much you think you're going to have a month beforehand. We also did some work with Crescent Services in Oklahoma City. They provide well site support and logistics services to oil field companies, including the construction of oil impoundment ponds. Getting precise measurements on larger impoundment ponds can pose a challenge. Excavators dig out a new pond and line and seal it, and then Crescent then fills it with water and uses a boat to ensure it meets the promised capacity levels. These are costly and time-consuming steps, and if they do all that, they dig out the pond, they line it, they seal it, they get the boat out there, and it turns out it doesn't have the capacity levels that they were hoping for, they kind of have to start all over again. Michael Fontaine is their technology and business development manager, and he said, if the impoundment pond is smaller than expected, we have 3 options, and they're all bad. He said one option is building a new pond. Can cost $125,000 to $150,000, about half of which is the lining. Another option is to transport the water to a nearby pond, if one exists. That can take up to 10 days to move the water at a cost of about 15 grand a day. So again, looking at around $150,000. The third option is to remove the lining off the pond, dig it out deeper, then reseal it. But he said that usually costs more than a whole new impoundment pond. It's almost never done unless space is at a premium and there's no other option. So Crescent turned to Identified Technologies for a better way to see the depth of the construction before lining it. Most of their ponds range from 100,000 to 300,000 barrels of water. They used a boomerang system. It was actually express shipped to Crescent because they actually had their own commercial drone pilot, which made it easy. We did some flight planning. They were automatically downloaded to their system. We had a 1-hour training session conducted by Skype, so we didn't actually have to do any travel for this. And the pilot launched the boomerang. It mapped the site in minutes, landed itself, and the data was sent to the cloud, processed, and the complete reports were provided to Crescent without having to get a boat out there, any of those extra steps we discussed. The accuracy was on point, and basically it's just important for energy companies to have GIS data that supports the accuracy of the information coming from different construction drawings. Gas pipelines are both FERC and DOT regulated. As pipelines are considered transportation, they're closely scrutinized by both DOT and PHMSA because of the potential for causing public health and safety problems. Material test reports are required for anything gas-related that goes into the ground. Anywhere in the pipeline route that you need to be able to, anywhere in the pipeline route, you need to be able to pull records of installation, where it came from, x-rays, and pipe metallurgy. Every well needs to be radiographed and x-rayed. With a drone, the energy company can quickly fly over a pipeline before it's covered up to make sure every weld is identified in the GIS and numbered. This documentation is a federal requirement. Welds are generally 20 feet apart and typically 12 to 42 inches in diameter. The precise location of each weld needs to be identified geographically so inspectors can locate it in the event of a leakage or explosion. It is a documentation nightmare, as many of you know, but energy companies must be able to show that they've done everything they can to ensure the integrity of the pipeline. So using the boomerang system, we fly over pipelines and can automatically capture the data and track all of that seamlessly. And once the information is there and documented, anybody from any location can access the data, saving time on avoiding costly mistakes and saving time on decision making. Some of the most common applications that drone mapping is being used for within the energy industry is compressor station as-built versus as-planned, impoundment pond as-built versus as-planned, and 3D volumetric mapping for impoundment ponds as well, pipeline right-of-ways, processing plant construction, utility line right-of-ways, visual and topographical inspection, and well pads as-built versus as-planned. Those are just a few of the most common applications for drone mapping. Recent advancements in sensor and processing technology are really what have allowed us to dramatically expand our mapping services. The offering of 3D digital surface models, 3D volumetrics, 3D point clouds, contour line maps, orthomosaic overlays, and site heat maps, as well as as-built versus as-planned, is all really cutting edge. And we're pushing the envelope even further forward, working on gas detection systems. So you'll actually be able to check for any gas leaks in pipeline just using drone solutions. The use of sensor-laden drones to gather analytical data is revolutionizing the way that energy sector companies are adding value to their bottom line. And just to sum up a couple more points, just to make sure these are super clear. These are the challenges, these are the solutions. And if you want more details on this, if you go to our website, and I included this also under the chat box, we have a full write-up on exactly how drone mapping is helping oil and gas companies. But you need to cost-effectively patrol and monitor right-of-way passages. Drone mapping helps you do it. You need to detect right-of-way issues early, before they become big problems. Drone mapping helps you do it. Regulatory compliance with all the FERC and all other energy industry regulations. It's a nightmare, but drone mapping helps you do it. You need to be able to do emergency response, identify risks, and do proper oversight to minimize damage if there is a problem. Drones help you do it, and they help keep your people safe. And last, difficulty. It can be difficult capturing accurate volumetric survey data or as-built versus as-planned data on energy construction projects. And just like in the examples we gave for the work we're doing with current customers, drone mapping helps you do it. So just a few of the kind of top applications for drone mapping. And if it is something you're interested in, I'm just going to shoot really quickly through our onboarding process. It's a kind of multi-stage. You'd start off meeting with Cassie, who's our customer success manager. She leads the whole team of that department, and she's going to find out all your needs, all your concerns, everything you're trying to accomplish, any issues that we need to be aware of, and just to completely set you up for success. She'll train and educate you, as well as provide things like, obviously, webinars, training guides, best practices, workshops, screen shares, whatever you need. Also linking you up with our chief pilot, John Little, for any training for things like the 107 certification, and just walking you through it, holding your hand every step of the way. You'll get best-in-class support, access to our online support center, which is comprehensive. Again, not just training guides, but everything you need to know for step-by-step lists for flight planning, Site IQ, which is our access software, and then doing quarterly check-ins to make sure that you're getting the exact results you want, that there's no surprises, no issues, that you're aware of all our latest and greatest technology. Because one of the biggest things we want to avoid is technological obsolescence. So we're always rolling out new software and always giving you new hardware to make sure you always have cutting-edge, high-performance technology, even as drones improve over time. And part of that training process means that you're going to have safe drone operations, high test scores, pass the first time, and that you can be confident that your users are going to represent the company well and not have any problems, and minimize time spent training, delay before you can begin drone mapping, and of course minimizing operational mistakes. So what's the true value of drone mapping? It's making more money, increasing profitability, higher quality, higher speed, and higher satisfaction with your team. So with that, I want to thank you very, very much for your time.